Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing the faults, missteps, faux pas of the Star Wars Sequel Trilogy versus the Jurassic World Sequel Trilogy and the forthcoming Jurassic World Dominion. But first, monkeys, roll that footage. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to eTepukuin's the place to be reviews. I'm eTepukuin right here with all of you. Today, Jurassic World Trilogy has repeated the same problems as the Star Wars sequels. Now, I've been covering Jurassic World Dominion, Jurassic World 3, for a while now, and I saw this article, and given the problems that the Jurassic World Sequel Trilogy has faced, they kind of parallel the Star Wars trilogy, which is why this article kind of resonated with me and why I wanted to cover it here for you folks today. So here we go. The Jurassic World Trilogy has repeated the same problems as the Star Wars sequels. Both the Jurassic Park and Star Wars franchises returned to theaters in 2015, making it a big year for nostalgia. Together, these new films, Jurassic World and The Force Awakens, took in $3.7 billion at the box office, kicking off the Disney era of a galaxy far, far away on a high note and ensuring the dinosaurs of Isla Nublar would live for another 2 movies. The properties have only continued to clean up commercially since then, with 2018 Solo being the first Star Wars or Jurassic World film to fall short of grossing $1 billion.
You are tearing me apart!
From the very beginning, though, it was clear these sequel trilogies had issues that needed addressing. Those problems have only grown more glaring in hindsight, especially in the wake of last year's The Rise of Skywalker.
That's a shame.
The conclusion to the Skywalker saga earned surprisingly middling reviews compared to the far more glowing response to The Force Awakens and 2017's The Last Jedi. By comparison, Jurassic World fared much better with moviegoers than its follow-up Fallen Kingdom did 3 years later. Jurassic World and The Force Awakens were nostalgia-heavy sequels. Well, yes, everything about Jurassic World and The Force Awakens was based on their original counterparts, almost to scene-by-scene rip-offs or basic plot points that everybody knows that led right into where we are today. So let's move on. There are a lot of parallels between Jurassic World and The Force Awakens. Jurassic World spent a longer time in development than The Force Awakens did, yet they both came out in 2015 and took on the form of legacy sequels. The pair were also criticized for relying too heavy on nostalgia and rehashing plot points from previous movies in their respective franchises. Rather than trying to chart a new way forward, Jurassic World, for example, recycles the setup for Jurassic Park. The park full of cloned dinosaurs breaks down, but increased body count, having the titular park open for business. The Force Awakens is similarly guilty of blurring the line between homage and reboot, recycling much of the original Star Wars film's narrative while simultaneously expanding the scale. Here, instead of a super weapon the size of a moon, there's a super weapon the size of a planet. And then we reach each trilogy's middle child. Fallen Kingdom attempted to shift things like The Last Jedi, which is obviously a mistake because The Last Jedi narratively is a disaster and an affront to everything Star Wars, the same way Fallen Kingdom is to the Jurassic World and the earlier Jurassic Park films.
He created another. He made her again.
They're alive. Like me.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Originally, the plan was for both Star Wars sequels and Jurassic World movies to have different directors as a way of mixing things up and allowing a variety of storytellers to put their stamp on these franchises. This is not a good idea unless you're doing anthologies. It never works out. The Force Awakens helmer J.J. Abrams stepped away completely from The Last Jedi and was replaced by Roundhead Rian Johnson, then best known for his subversive genre films Brick and Looper, both of which are garbage. Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow similarly passed the torch to J.A. Bayona on Fallen Kingdom, yet remained on board as co-writer and producer. That partly explains why The Last Dumpster Fire is bolder, if that's the term you want to use to describe that piece of shit.
You're both pieces of shit. Yeah, I can prove it mathematically. Actually, let me grab my whiteboard.
In a way that it deviates from Abrams' nostalgia-driven approach to Star Wars and throws in lots of shocking twists and turns, leaving it wide open for where Star Wars 9 could go. Yeah, mystery boxes on mystery boxes that never get answered. Fallen Kingdom is less daring, though it ventures into unprecedented territory by blowing up Isla Nublar and releasing the surviving dinosaurs into the world in its intriguing final moments. It's not really intriguing, it's kind of trash. Critically, the reactions to The Last Jedi were just as good, better than those to The Force Awakens. The larger response was another story. Johnson's Star Wars movie split the fan base in half, with many arguing the film deepens the spiritual themes and political messages of the movies before it. Even as others argue just as passionately, it misses the entire point of what Star Wars is about.
I feel something.
You feel it?
Yes, I feel it.
That's the Force.
Really?
Wow, it must be really strong
Oh,
with
I've
you.
never felt anything. Ow!
Fallen Kingdom didn't split its own fan base following anywhere near as much because, again, it doesn't stray so dramatically from Trevorrow's nostalgic approach from the Jurassic World, even if it reuses a few ideas from Jurassic Park: The Lost World. All the same, it still ended up dividing critics and general audiences and fell short of becoming a crowd pleaser its predecessor was. Well, that's because Jurassic World really went off the rails with some of the themes and things that it did. The action sequences were bad and cringy. The dialogue was bad. The characters were kind of ridiculous. Just like Rian Johnson's Last Jedi. Jurassic World and Star Wars both went back to original directors for their third movie. Well, that's because J.A. Bayona and Rian Johnson are both cut from the same mold, and they're both complete idiots who have no idea how to deliver a movie that fits into a pre-existing narrative. Since he wasn't planning on directing follow-ups, Trevorrow signed on to helm what would eventually become The Rise of Skywalker just a few weeks after Jurassic World opened in theaters. However, his vision of Star Wars 9, titled Duel of the Fates, would never come to pass. Trevorrow stepped down over creative differences in 2017 and was replaced by none other than Jar Jar Abrams. With a tentpole-sized opening in his schedule, Trevorrow elected to return for a third Jurassic World movie, Dominion. After that, even then, the original directors coming back to close out the Jurassic World and Star Wars Sequel Trilogies clearly signaled an attempt to return to what worked in their first installments after the divisive second chapters. The situations aren't exactly the same again. Trevorrow was actively involved behind the scenes on Fallen Kingdom, which begs the question of whether Dominion will be able to stick the landing in ways The Rise of Skywalker did not. Well, Rise of Skywalker blatantly ripped off a lot of the EU canon that had been decanonized, plus the end of Avengers Endgame.
And I'm all the Jedi.
I am Iron Man.
It's certainly a real possibility. For starters, Trevorrow has indicated he had an arc in mind for the Jurassic World Trilogy when he directed the original movie and has remained creatively involved with the sequels, so there appears to be a singular artistic vision guiding the series forward. This proved to be a big sticking point with Disney's Star Wars films. Abrams laid the groundwork for the following two movies during The Force Awakens, but Lucasfilm didn't map out the trilogy beyond that and gave Johnson free rein to take the story where he wanted to in The Last Jedi. Yeah, and we went straight to Canto Bight. So, when the film split fans the way it did, The Rise of Skywalker shifted back to Abrams' vision, but without a complete foundation to build on. As a result, fans of The Last Jedi were frustrated the way Rise of Skywalker retcons that movie, and many others were disappointed to see Abrams' remaining ideas stuffed into a single film instead of two. Okay, so when they say fans of The Last Jedi, they mean page shill critics that called everybody incels, man-babies, racist, and istophobes who didn't like that movie because it was trash and it wasn't Star Wars. But before we go any further here, we're going to look at Star Wars The Last Jedi, the tomato meter here, and the audience score of 43 compared to the critics' certified fresh score of 90%. Now, when we dig a little bit deeper in here, we'll see the Shilly McShillersons. All critics are at 90%, audience 43%, 2.7 average rating, whereas the critics 8.1 out of 10. Now, let's look at top critics. Of course, that bumps up to 95% because of my representation and my diversity, I'm sure. So, let's take a look at the middle entry of the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. 48% critics, 48% audience. They were both in agreement. This was bad. Not just bad, terrible, horrible, awful bad. Completely jumped the shark. Average 5.45 out of 10 for the critics. Now, we're going to go over and look at the top critics and see if there's any difference there. What do you know? They went up 1% to 5.65 out of 10 out of 59 ratings, whereas the audience score still remains 48%. So, you see what I'm saying? Jurassic World Dominion is released June of 2021, June 11th to be precise. Are you excited for this movie? Is this something that you really want to see? Because I have to be honest, I am kind of excited for it. Like, I'm happy. I want to see it. I think it'll be cool. The overall sentiment towards this movie is that of kind of worry for me. But what do you think? Star Wars versus Jurassic World. Which one did it better? Which one messed up the most? I mean, obviously, in my book, it's Star Wars. The whole sequel trilogy was bad. You know, obviously, we go all the way back to The Force Awakens, copy of A New Hope, you know, Last Jedi, wannabe Empire Strikes Back, and Rise of Skywalker was basically Frankenstein's monster. Now it's your turn to opine. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Here's where you can find us all across social media at TB2BR on Instagram, the Place to Be Reviews page on Facebook, the official Place to Be Reviews fan page, that's our private group, at the Place to Be RE1, at N80Pete on Twitter, past podcast available on Anchor, iTunes, and Spotify, and now the Place to Be Reviews on Discord. You can also email us if you're old-fashioned, okay boomer, at theplacetobereviews@mail.com, the world's best mail. Thank you very much. Also, on the way out, don't forget to bitch slap that like button. Do me that big solid, would ya? Yeah, I think you can do that. Also, hail the Fandom Menace. Hail to thee, my subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. Help us grow the channel. Hail the Fandom Collective, a group which we are proud members of now. We'll be working with them on a lot of collaborations in the near future. And I'd like to personally thank you all for joining the Place to Be Reviews. That's right, I'm Tepukuian of the Place to Be Reviews right here with all yous. Remember, if I don't see you, have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow.